Welcome to Demystify Magic with Molly and Madison.
I'm Molly, a former skeptic turned full-time energy healer and teacher.
And I'm Madison, a born and raised witch running my family's crystal shop.
And we're here to explore all things woo through the lens of both science and spirituality so that you can find the moments of magic in your everyday life and create an intentional spiritual practice.
So if that's what you're into, find a cozy spot, take a deep breath, and let's demystify some magic. Howdy doody, friend.
Howdy doody.
You know when we start to record and you can just feel a soapbox coming? That's how I feel today as we are launching into the third installment of our chakra series. We are talking about the solar plexus.
One of my faves. Definitely in the top 7.
If I had $1 for every time you're going to say that this series,
you'd have $7.
I am both excited and afraid for this episode because who knows what's going to come out of our mouths in the next 45 minutes.
No idea. Not a clue.
No idea. Not a clue.
Can't wait to find out.
Can't wait to find out. This is something that we both feel really passionately about. My emotional support water bottle was chosen with the solar plexus in mind. It is bright, vibrant, some might call it neon yellow.
That is green.
It does look green on camera, but I swear, I promise to you, it's yellow. It's chartreuse.
It's green, everyone. Everyone listening. This is not a visual medium, so you're just going to have to trust me. It is definitely green.
And I have definitely not built a great case for myself for knowing how to tell you what color something is. But I'll post a picture of it.
Put it next to a piece of gray pyrite. Madison really struggles to see the color yellow.
Apparently. Maybe it is a solar plexus thing. Maybe this is something that we'll need to unpack here. But number one fan of our podcast, my mother, who listens religiously on Tuesday mornings, always sends me her notes, her thoughts and feelings. After listening to that episode, texted me and said, "I'm worried you're colorblind." So she is not on my team on this one. If you are wondering.
Oh.
All right, but first, before we get into it, Molly, what was your magic moment this week?
That moment right here.
You getting your comeuppance on me with my mother?
Always. I feel like me and your mom are like this. We're so tight. I'm upset that she doesn't text me her notes every Tuesday morning, to be honest. Christy, what the hell?
I'll make us a group chat.
Yeah, please do. Please do. No, my magic moment is, so I think I've mentioned this before. I'm in the middle, not in the middle. I'm in the very early stages of a major home renovation. And by very early stages, I mean like we have our plans, we have our design. We're like getting budgets from contractors. We're not going to break ground for like 8 more months. And so I've been sitting here just like visualizing what my new space is going to be. We're going to have more than one bathroom, which is honestly like the dream. And I'm going to have a little reading nook in my new bedroom, which is my dream. And so
sexy.
Being in this like early stage where I can see the plans on paper, but they're not in my life yet. It's made me really dislike the house that I'm currently living in. Like it's made it very difficult to be in this space, like be in my bedroom and see like, I don't even have a closet. Like all my dresses are on the ground. Like,
where's my reading nook?
Yeah, where's my reading nook? Where am I going to put all my books? Why don't I have a soaking tub yet? You know, like all of these things. It's made it really, really difficult. Like the energy in the space since we got the plans has felt really like heavy and stagnant. Mm-hmm. And that's really bummed me out lately. And I think has shown up in like my energy and my motivation. And then this weekend we had like a little BBQ with my in-laws and my parents came up, and our living room, we have a very strange shaped living room. It's 13 feet long and like narrow. And it's also in the hallway between like basically the front door opens into the living room and then that opens into the kitchen, and the stairs are also in the living room to go upstairs. So it's like it's a very weird way to lay out a living room because you're either 13 feet from the TV and the couch is against the wall, or how we've had it for the last 4.5 years is the couch is like halfway up through the room and then there's this weird gap behind it. And so when people come over, we push the couch back so there's more room in the living room. We can bring more chairs in. And I felt this immediate energetic shift as soon as we moved the couch back. I was like, oh, like it just freed up so much space. And so my husband, very strongly against being that far away from the TV. I was like, babe, we're going to Costco. I'm going to buy us a bigger TV so that you will stop complaining, because we are not moving this couch back. We are not moving this couch back. And I spent all day in the living room yesterday and it felt amazing. I just like sat and read, and the boys were happy, and they get to lay on the floor now because there's space for them. And it just felt so much better. So it was a really great reminder that there are ways to make an imperfect space feel fresher, brighter, more energized, just by making like a very subtle shift in the arrangement of your space.
I love moving furniture as like an energetic cleanse, you know?
Oh yeah. I was that kid that was always rearranging my bedroom like every month.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. What about you? What was your magic moment?
My magic moment this week is very, very well timed for this episode. I have felt a spark of creativity and a desire to be online. So, for those who don't know, Molly and I met on TikTok because I used to be a little bit of a witch talker.
She made a money bowl video in a mug, and I was like, we need to be best friends.
And that is pretty much exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
And when I moved back to Florida almost exactly 2 years ago, that fizzled for me very quickly. And I think that I think it was an element of like burnout. And I haven't been consistently online in any real way in like 2 years. And I always think it's funny to imagine like people who listen to the podcast and go to your Instagram and then go to mine, and the stark difference, because mine is like a once a quarter, like maybe 10 filterless photos in a row that make no sense next to each other.
It's a very, very, very distinguishable of our generational gap, because I feel like that's very what your generation does. And my generation is like, I need to post everything. Let me post my breakfast.
It is. I do have a very Gen Z Instagram. And if you go to my TikTok, it like hasn't been touched. I posted one TikTok last week about making my stepdad listen to Charlie XCX's new album. And that was like big for me. But recently I've had the desire that I haven't had in a long time to create that kind of content and to like be more visible in an online space. And I think it's kind of I think it's a shift in my own like mental space of like I feel like after getting Spellcrafter open, I'm like in a place where I have not even free time, because that's not what it's about. It's like
bandwidth.
It is free space in my brain to think about things that are not store related.
You know what's so interesting?
Tell me.
The pattern that I see here is your apartment that you're filming in right now, that you won't be living in soon, you have been in for those 2 years. So I wonder if it has something to do with like the moving, like if this was just like a holding stage for you energetically.
And that's very much even what it felt like moving in here. Like I moved to Florida very quickly. It was very sudden and unexpected. I like found out I needed to move and then was in this apartment like a week later.
Yeah.
And it has always felt as like a limbo space. And so I think like moving out of that and kind of exiting that era, I do think so. And we have some people who help us with our social media, where as like an accountability thing, I emailed them and I was like, okay, in next month's content calendar, can we leave some space in the Spellcrafter calendar? Because I really want to create. And so I'd like to repurpose some of that in our content. So
love that for you. I'm so excited.
If you see me on the Spellcrafter Instagram, hold me accountable. Say, hey, I thought you were going to post some videos on here. Or maybe don't.
I will.
I'm very sensitive.
Be very kind.
Yeah, be so gentle about it.
Be
but
so gentle.
And if you do see me posting, say, "Oh my God, great job. You're doing great. You look
Great job.
amazing."
Looks amazing. Love this so much. Just hype you up. We will be your hype girlies in the comments.
This is show-stopping content.
All right, should we dive in?
Let's dive on in.
Speaking of solar plexus,
I know.
that is very solar plexus energy.
Maybe it's all this focus that I've been doing on the chakras.
Maybe it's all the root work that you've been doing. Maybe it's all the work that you did on your root when we recorded that episode, that now all your other chakras can come into alignment. By the way, if you haven't listened to the root episode, I'm going to need you to turn back. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Back now.
Listen to the root.
All right.
Solar plexus. I know I've made this joke every single time, but I really, if you were like, Molly, you're stranded on a deserted island and you can only work on 3 of your chakras, it would be the root, the sacral, the solar plexus. They're so life-changing when you just spend a month focused on these 3. Spend a year, spend a decade focused on these 3. I swear they will change your life. Like, everything above just opens based on what's happening below. It's just, I love them so much. Okay, so solar plexus, super, super powerful. It is located at the base of your sternum, so right where your diaphragm is. And it's very much connected to our sense of confidence, our willpower, our personal power. Okay. So if we think about that space, all right, think about the times when you are nervous, those butterflies in your stomach, right, affect not only that part of the body, right? We feel it right there. We feel the tingling in our tummy, the butterflies in our tummy, right around the solar plexus, but it also impacts the way that we breathe through the diaphragm. Here's a fun fact. The only difference between anxiety and excitement to your brain and your body is through the breath. It's the exact same response in your nervous system. It's just a difference of, am I breathing above or below the diaphragm? Breathing below the diaphragm, I'm feeling excitement. Okay, I'm able to breathe with it. I'm able to stay with it. I have the goosebumps, the good butterflies in my stomach. If I'm breathing above the diaphragm, I think I'm being chased by a tiger. I have moths in my stomach. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Mm-hmm. What's in between is the solar plexus, your sense of personal power. Can you stand in your own 2 shoes? Can you stand in your power and breathe through that solar plexus using your diaphragm to really fill up with breath? And this is a soapbox. This is the soapbox you were feeling. It's all my Reiki 1 students are like, yes, let's get into this. Which, by the way, registration opens in a couple of weeks. So if any of this is like, oh my God, I want to deep dive into this, definitely sign up for the wait list. It's down in the show notes. But this is almost like a universal experience, especially for people who identify as female. But when you were growing up, Madison, and you were taking group photos, did anyone say, suck it in?
Sorry to my family who I'm about to call out with this statement, but it's like with the women in my family, when I was younger, I remember it as like almost like a calling cry of like a communal, like, some say cheese, others say suck it in, or it was always like rearranging the photo for like who would stand in front of who to hide stomachs. Yep.
So we are trained from a very early age to contract from that diaphragm, to literally shrink our center of power. Now think of how that echoes out into the patriarchy, into capitalism, into our media, right? Telling women to shrink their power. It's no wonder that, like, your body doesn't know the difference between a bicep curl and sucking it in every time you take a photo, right? It's like when you do a bicep curl, the muscles, the tissues, the bones, the connective tissues, all of that grows in a way that makes that movement easier. When you suck it in, your muscles, your bones, your tissues all grow in a way that make that movement easier. And so what happens is you grow up with this feeling every time you take a photo, and then you become an adult and all of a sudden you're afraid of being seen. You're afraid to step into your power and to be seen for it. You're afraid to be confident. You shrink yourself because your body is holding that energy, holding that memory. Also, think about what happens when we have anxiety, that shrinking of the stomach, the tension in the stomach, the breath getting pushed up into the chest cavity. Now think about that compression over and over and over. Your body starts to hold anxiety like a bicep curl, right? It starts to create that sensation over and over and over until your muscles and tissues and bones and everything grow in that way to make it easier, right? To protect you. Think about that compression on your internal organs. It's no wonder chronic stress and IBS go hand in hand, right? And so when we're talking about the solar plexus, it's like, if you have any kind of stomach issues, if you have any kind of trouble with getting a deep breath, if you have any mid-back pain, right? Any kind of rib pain, any kind of upper abdomen pain could all be connected. Look at your ability to stand in your power. Look at your ability to feel confident, to have that self-esteem, that willpower, that I think of it as like, it's very much connected to the energy of fire, the element of fire rather. And so it's like, what lights you up? Can you light a fire under it? Right? Can you light a fire under yourself and just not be afraid to share what is within you, what is lighting you up and what is giving you that gusto, so to speak?
You know, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but an experience working on the solar plexus was like my introduction to chakra work ever.
Really?
Yeah, I was in a yoga class in high school. And this is like what kind of sent me down a mini rabbit hole of like, what are these energy centers and like, what do they do? This is how I found my app that I listened to. But I was in a yoga class and they played the hertz for the solar plexus, which is 528. If you're wondering, if you have been following along, listening, if you've been YouTubing. And I remember being in this yoga class and like so upset about like some dumb boy and listening to this sound and feeling, because if you don't listen, I'm an anxious girly. You might have noticed this about me. I live in a pretty constant state of like vibration.
You're living life on simmer.
I am. And it was one of the few times I've felt that feeling fade away without my having to do like a lot of internal work. Like I know the coping mechanisms, I know the breathing exercises, and I'm laying in this yoga class with my feet up against the wall. It was the end of class, or like my legs up the wall, and they're playing this sound, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't matter. This is a useless boy, and I am just fine. And I like felt this feeling of confidence just seep through me, and I can remember the sensation like it was yesterday, like from my stomach pouring out of me. And I was like, oh shit, I need more of this.
Yeah. It's so interesting because you can see this like physically, right? If someone has a lack of energy to the solar plexus, right, is not confident, right, has low self-esteem, they're going to curl inward, right? The shoulders are going to slump forward to protect that front line of the body, right? So the back is going to be more open. If someone has a blown open solar plexus, I see this in the people who give too much, okay? So the like, I see this so often in like my healers, my helpers, my caregivers who are just giving all of themselves out and not saving any for themselves. It's like they have a blown open solar plexus. So I'm like, how do I show this in a non-visual medium? But it's like, imagine the front of your diaphragm could just jut out. And so you get a very, very extreme arch in your low back. Those are the people who have low back pain, right? Who have hip pain too, I see show up as that as well as like mid-back pain and shoulder pain, kind of like pain all through the back line of the body, because it's all being like, it's almost like a black hole in the back of the solar plexus is like grabbing all of the tissues from above and below because it's just too blown open.
Something I hadn't considered is the way that this can impact your posture.
Yes. That's
something that I throughout my life have hunched over a little bit, and I hadn't considered that as like a solar plexus thing.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about it when we get to the heart as well. But the heart and the solar plexus are big players when it comes to your posture. Actually, all of them do, because the throat too. Like if the throat is a little bit off, then your head becomes a bowling ball, and your spine can't maintain it. So that can create difference in the posture. But yeah, that's one of the ways that I can tell if someone has an imbalance in the solar plexus. I just ask them to stand for me and turn to the side, and you can see it. It's usually really, really, like I said, like the caregivers, the healers, the people who are empaths, who are just givers. There's nothing wrong with that, but like keep some for yourself. And so for them, it's a matter of like, okay, how can we contain? How can we create boundaries? And think about like what we're doing when we're doing like an abdominal crunch or bracing through the abdomen, right? We're creating that barrier, that boundary, that strength in the solar plexus. But what's physically happening in the tissues is the front of the ribs are coming down, right? So it's containing that energy.
I'm going on a mini rabbit hole in my own brain right now about something that did I talk to you about Vanderpump Rules and Ariana Madix?
I don't, maybe.
Okay. Well, hold on. For those who watch Vanderpump Rules, you're sitting there like, yes, this is not where I thought we were going, but here we are. Okay. Ariana Madix, she's on Vanderpump Rules. Sure. She was with a guy for 10 years. He had an 8-month-long affair with her really good friend. And she found out about it. It was really horrible. Very sad, very traumatic. Now she is the host of Love Island USA.
Oh.
She's like gotten a lot of opportunities from this. She has turned lemons into lemonade, and it's really incredible to watch. And she's a really good host of Love Island USA if you're watching. And I saw a clip of her very recently because I've like I don't know why I hyperfixate on stuff like this sometimes. I've thought a lot about Ariana Madix and like, is she okay? Because like that's a lot to go through, and then to be on a public sphere, and you know she's doing a lot. She's on Broadway. There's just a lot going on, right? And I saw a clip of her at the Love Island after show that I don't watch because I'm impatient.
Yeah.
And the first thing I noticed about her was her posture. And I was looking at the comments on it, and people were talking about like how confident and open her posture is, and like how, you know, like how good she looks, whatever, blah, blah. And you talking about that, I'm like, oh shit, like, okay, I don't need to worry about you, Ariana. You've done the healing work. You're doing great.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why, like, I know I keep mentioning this in every episode, but like the Intro to Chakras course that I have has such a focus on physical movement as well as like breath and understanding the chakras on a scientific and energetic level, because movement is such a powerful way, especially for the solar plexus. It's like anytime you can move, strengthen the core, any kind of balancing exercises, because that uses your core, any kind of rotational exercises, right? Like rotating side to side, any kind of movement linked with breath, especially diaphragmatic breathing, right? Breathing below the solar plexus is so powerful at clearing this energy and also building that personal power. Think of like just endurance as your stamina, as your power source, right? Your battery. If you never walked ever, and then you tried to walk, 10 miles, you'd be winded, right? It would be very difficult. You wouldn't have the power reserves to get through it. But if you walked every single day and you built up to 10 miles, then you would have that. It's almost like a battery pack within you. And that battery pack is fueled by the breath. It's literally fueled from the solar plexus. Like that's why I just geek out about this one, because it's such an easy link for people to see. Like, oh, when I'm anxious, I breathe above the solar plexus. When I'm self-assured, I breathe below the solar plexus, right? The solar plexus can get that breath. When I'm feeling anxious, when I'm feeling nervous, when I'm feeling shy, I curl in on myself. I curl around the solar plexus. When I'm in my power pose, I'm ready to take on the day, my solar plexus is out and ready to play, right? Like it's a very, very easy one to see in your physicality, and in your breath can be a great measure of whether or not you need to work on this chakra and when you need to work on this chakra.
Yeah, and I think movement as a whole is such a great way to do any kind of chakra healing or any kind of chakra work. Because if you're someone who, like, when we say, like, for example, we get a lot of questions of, like, how do you set an intention? The physical way is always the easiest way to make that, like, almost like a mind-body connection. Whereas it can be harder for a lot of people, at least I know for me, to work only in the internal world. And so if you can bring any of that into the physical, I think that it really, really helps create that connection. And it's very powerful work for me.
Like, just notice right now as you're listening, where are you breathing? Is it above or below the diaphragm?
Yeah.
And what happens if you take a big breath into your abdomen? How does that shift the way that you feel in your body?
And it almost even, like, forces you to hold yourself differently. Like, when I take a deep breath, it pushes my shoulders back.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so really when it comes to creating balance here, I always start with the breath. And I recognize that, like, breathing is not the most comfortable thing for everyone to focus on. So as always, with all of these things that we give on this podcast, take what resonates, leave the rest. And if there is extreme discomfort, if you feel lightheaded doing any kind of breathing exercise, don't do it. But
it's okay to not.
It's okay. But a very simple breathwork practice is just place your hands on your abdomen and just feel the movement of the breath underneath your hands, right? Have that tactile sensation of the breath filling below the diaphragm, right? There are lots of diaphragmatic breathing exercises. You could find a million of them. Some of them are better than others, depending on, like, where you're at. But that's one that you could do it right now while you're listening. Just put your hands on your abdomen and just feel the breath expand beneath them. Feel the hands drop as you breathe out.
All right, we want to launch into some other low effort ways to work with your solar plexus. Let's do it. First of all, the color associated with the solar plexus is yellow. I'm going to harken back to what I've said every episode, be a little bit of a broken record. Wear yellow. Bring yellow socks, yellow nail polish. It's not my favorite. That's probably the one chakra I skip with my nail polish. Yellow scrunchie, yellow underwear.
Yellow bra.
Excellent.
If you wear bras, yellow bra,
idea.
Right next to your solar plexus.
Or even just gold jewelry, bringing yellow into your space. If you are doing a lot of meditation on the solar plexus, maybe a yellow blanket into your meditation space.
I like yellow flowers. I always associate daffodils with the solar plexus. So you can buy, I don't know if they have them down by you, but up by us at Trader Joe's, you can get, like, a bundle of daffodils that haven't quite bloomed yet for, like, $2. Okay, stick them on your altar while you're doing your solar plexus work for that week. And as they bloom, notice if you feel your solar plexus become more open.
I love that.
Yeah, it's one of my faves.
And then we already talked about the hertz level, but could you tell me what the seed sound is for the solar plexus?
Ram. R-A-M.
Rum.
And it's nice because, like, you could place your hands on your abdomen and, like, chant Ram and feel that vibration through the diaphragm and through the solar plexus.
Love that.
And we talked about how the solar plexus is linked with the element of fire. So anything that gets your heart rate up movement-wise is going to be really powerful for this. So running, walking, tennis, dancing in your kitchen, whatever is going to get your breath moving, right? Get that diaphragm moving. Think of it like sort of jostling. I think we said, like, banging on the pipes last week. It's like banging all of that stagnant energy out through your breath, and through that movement that gets your heart rate up is going to be really powerful for this part because it's interacting with that fire element as well.
Next on our list is to strike a power pose. If you liked the idea of dancing off of our last list, I feel like this is a great one too. Or even if the idea of dancing by yourself made you nervous, I feel like a power pose is a little bit less aggressive, you know?
Yeah. Whenever I'm wanting to work on my solar plexus in public and I want it to be a little subtle, I man spread.
Love. That is a great idea.
Right? Okay, so if you're a man, this is not going to make sense to you, but everyone else, You sit and when you're on the like bus or something, or you're on an airplane and the man kind of like spreads his legs wide so they're like touching the people next to him and he's just taking up space. You do that. You do it.
Do this all the time, not as chakra work. Now I will be rebranding it in my brain. I do it as retaliation, especially on a plane. My knees are at a 90-degree angle when I'm on a plane and a man is taking up too much space. If he's in my personal space, I am a menace.
I am taking that armrest.
Both of them.
Yes.
If I'm in the middle.
Yep. Take up space. Let yourself take up space. Another way you can do this is by wearing the clothes you've always wanted to wear. Accessorizing, embracing your inner Leo, right? Like, let yourself strut to the grocery store.
And I think that really ties into something else that we wrote down. This is a really great practice in just being seen. For me, with fashion, the biggest thing that brings up that fear for me is like the idea of, oh, I'm overdressed for this occasion. People are going to look at me and be like, why is she wearing that to the grocery store? Because I damn well please.
Because I want to.
And so recognizing that feeling and giving yourself like
breathing through it
and giving yourself the healthy little push to be comfortable, feeling the fear and doing it anyways.
Yeah.
And I think something even like the grocery store is a really great place to work through that. Like a low risk, high reward of like, I'll be in this space for 15, 20 minutes. If I turn around, nothing bad will happen. And I'll feel really accomplished if I make it through,
If you want a baby step before that, I have a TikTok friend who is a wardrobe stylist, and she had like a Q&A, and I was like, how come I don't know what looks good on me? And she's like, Molly, it's because I know you and you wear athleisure 99.9% of the time. And so to your brain, anything that is not stretchy pants and a sports bra and a t-shirt with a silly phrase on it is a tiger chasing you. And I was like, fuck. Yep. That is so true. So for me, I have a hard time jumping right to wearing my sundress at the grocery store. So I will wear it around my house or I will go through the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through.
That's very smart. I love that.
Because then I'm out of my house, but nobody can see me. And I know that I'm wearing the sundress and like the real bra out in public.
Love that.
Love that. Okay, next thing is to do something that makes you feel confident or something that you're good at. And you might be like, nothing makes me feel confident. I'm not good at anything. I'm going to beg you, if you feel that way, to go back to the root chakra.
I knew.
Beg you.
I knew where we were
going.
Go
back there. Go back there. All right. Because that is a fear response. That is a fear response rooted in that foundational work. So go back to that root. Remind yourself that you're safe. There's something that you are good at. There is something that you're good at. Everyone is good at something. Okay. Whether it's being a good friend or being a good dog mom or being really good at making paper airplanes, right? It doesn't have to be a quote unquote useful or productive skill. Just do something that you're good at or build a new skill that you've always wanted to be good at.
Oh, I love that. That to me too is a really great way to work through that fear of, we've talked about like productivity a lot. The fear that that I need to be good at things immediately. That if I'm bad at it, it's a waste of time. Let yourself be bad at something that you think is fun. Yeah. And trust yourself that you'll get better at it.
Yeah. And breathe through the things that you don't feel so confident in. When you notice yourself feeling insecure, you can't tap into your power, place your hands on your abdomen, take a couple of deep breaths, right? Like feel that power pose. Notice your posture, right? And notice if that helps shift your level of confidence in that moment. Remember, excitement and anxiety, no different to your brain. The only difference is how you breathe. So you can change that reaction by changing the status of your breath. You can literally switch from anxiety to excitement just in a couple of breaths.
And think about how powerful that is and how
fucking powerful that is.
And how powerful you are for having that ability.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're sitting there going like, I can't do that, please go back to the root.
Mm-hmm.
I beg you, please go back to the root. I know this has become a bit on this podcast that we're like just sending you back to the root, but I promise you, if you have that solid foundation, everything above it becomes easier.
Mm-hmm.
Everything above it becomes easier. And there's no shame in like turning back and starting back at the root. I work on my root every fucking day.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be done with the root. Never going to be done with the root.
Never, ever, ever. I don't think you're
Never.
ever done
So-
with any facet of healing.
You're not. Here's the thing. Okay, here's the soapbox. Get ready. Stretch it out.
Mhm.
Stretch it out, people. The goal is not to have all of your chakras perfectly balanced and aligned all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually not fucking possible. Because you are a human being having human experiences that are imperfect by definition. And so you are always going to have a chakra that's out of balance. You might get them all in balance for like a second and then they're going to swing out. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the human experience. It's like when I fall out of balance, what do I do about it? Do I wallow? Do I say fuck the world and I give up? Or do I say, you know what? I'm going to take my silly little breaths and my silly little power pose and get myself through this moment, just one breath at a time.
Mm-hmm. Any kind of healing is like cleaning your house.
Yeah.
You might get it clean for this moment, but the whole purpose of having a clean house is to dirty it. You cannot exist, you cannot live a life without making laundry or dirtying dishes. You don't do the dishes so that you'll never have to do a dish again.
Ugh, that is a brilliant analogy.
Thank you. I learned from the best.
Yeah, and especially the laundry piece, because you're never done with laundry.
You're never done with laundry.
Because you're wearing clothes while you're doing laundry. So you're always going to have a dirty clothes, and that's okay.
You're doing laundry so that you have access to as much clothing as possible. Wow. It's rare that I get you with an analogy. I was proud of myself for that one.
I'm going to write that one down. That's add into my analogy vernacular.
Love it.
Okay, some foods that you can eat to work with the solar plexus are yellow foods like bananas. I will not be eating these because I, as Madison has learned today, have a banana allergy.
I learned an hour ago that you're allergic to bananas, and you wrote this list of foods.
I know. Okay, here's my truth. Bananas are one of my favorite foods. I developed a late in life 26-year-old banana allergy, and it rocked my world. I was a half marathon runner at the time. I had to stop running because those were my fuel up foods. I had a banana every morning before I ran. Couldn't eat anymore. When I had a potluck at work, I brought a bunch of bananas. You think that's funny. I think it's very on brand for me. And also, they were the most popular food. They're a portable snack. You can take it on the go with you when you leave the potluck. Those bananas were never left behind.
You can have my ability to eat bananas because I don't like them.
Please.
I'm a texture person. I think they're too squishy.
God.
But anyways.
What I wouldn't give to have a banana. I literally have considered like going to a hospital food court and eating a banana just so I can experience it. And when I go into anaphylaxis, they'll be able to fix me. Like
They'll be able to handle it.
I have truly, if our healthcare in our country was better, I would do that. It's the prohibitive medical costs that stop me from eating bananas.
The only time I'm like, oh, I'm glad in this moment that our healthcare is so bad. So my good friend Molly doesn't send herself into anaphylactic shock. Anyways, everyone but me and Molly have a banana.
Think of how confident you have to be to eat a banana in public.
So true.
Right?
So
right?
true.
I used to have a banana holder. It was a banana guard, and it was this plastic
I hate that.
thing that
I don't
fit
know
the
why,
banana.
but I hate it.
And I would literally carry it in my
Why?
work bag every day because I
Oh.
had a
But it
banana
has-
every day.
It comes with its own protective.
Yeah, but
it comes with its own banana carrier.
Yeah, but it would get all bruised up in my
It's
bag.
built
I had to
in.
protect it.
Evolution literally designed something that would protect it.
I know, but when it's in my purse all day, I'm like going around. I was going to different schools and shit when I was an educator. Like, you know, like I had to protect it with my banana guard. Anyways, you can get them on Amazon if anyone's listening is like, that's relatable and I need it.
Well, I'm happy for all of you that can enjoy a banana.
Me too.
I wish I could, because I do think
too.
they taste good. They're just too squishy. Anyways, if you don't love a squishy yellow food, might I recommend some yellow peppers? Those are perfectly crunchy.
Any kind of spicy food, any kind of pepper is going to be great. That fire element, again, you're going to feel it in your belly.
A nice Thai curry, excellent solar plexus healing.
Oh, yeah. Love me a Thai curry.
We've lost the plot.
Herbs? Herbs? You want to talk about herbs?
Yeah. Great herbs for working with your solar plexus are chamomile, peppermint, and calendula. Calendula is my favorite. I love, love, love calendula flowers. Something some people might know is that calendula petals are just marigolds. So if you have yes.
Shut up.
If you have marigolds, you have access to calendula. I don't know why it's called calendula when it's like the petals are dried and off the flower. Maybe some places call them calendula flowers. I don't know, but they're marigolds.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
This is life-changing information to me. I really like peppermint for when your solar plexus feels like that technical term, because it's very settling to the stomach, but it also brings clarity to the mind. So it can help ease you into that confident
It's in
place.
all the tummy teas, like the settle your tummy tea.
Love a peppermint tea. It's my favorite kind of tea. Maybe that's why I love the solar plexus, because, as soon as I developed my banana allergy, I developed my obsession with peppermint tea. It was like around the same time.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, you had to replace your solar plexus. Your solar plexus work with something else. You had it on lock.
I knew it back then. I knew it.
That's so funny.
Crystals you can work with are citrine, tiger's eye, or pyrite, which is gold and not gray. But any kind of like yellow or gold crystal for this part of the body is great.
I will say, it hasn't been a lot of DMs, but I've gotten like more than one DM saying that pyrite looks gray. So if you are listening to this saying that pyrite looks gray, just know that I stand in solidarity with you and nothing is wrong with you. Okay, you are not broken. It is the system that's broken. It is your friends looking at you from across the Zoom while you record your podcast with contempt.
Right.
They're the problem.
I will say the only gray pyrite I've seen is like extremely low quality pyrite.
Well, then why does all the pyrite in my store look gray to me and everyone else is arguing with me?
It doesn't. As someone who has looked at the pyrite in your store, it is gold.
I don't know.
I need
Take
someone
it
to
up
go
with
to
my eye
Spellcrafter.
doctor.
Someone go to Spellcrafter and prove her wrong, please. Please show her the right way. I can't buy a plane ticket just for that.
I can't help it. My eyes are wrong.
Finally, you can make yourself a confidence spell jar. This is one of my favorites because anytime you're feeling like a little nervous, maybe you have like a big presentation, a job interview, a first date, or something that you're going to need your power, your confidence on lock. You can shake that little spell jar, maybe take a deep breath with it. I'm going to be putting up a 5-minute magic tutorial of how to make a spell jar for the solar plexus on YouTube in a couple of days. So if you're not subscribed there, you should come hang out with me over there.
Yeah. And that's on solar plexus.
Solar plexus.
You got to give me your pun for this week.
I don't have one. I think you should just fire me now.
Oh my God.
Fire.
Somebody write down the date and time.
Fire me.
Demystify magic first.
Fire me. I said fire element. Fire me.
Oh. Damn it. Okay, whatever. She got us this time, guys.
And on that note,
bye.
Thanks for listening to Demystify Magic with Molly and Madison. If you want to learn more about us, you can find all our links in the show notes.
We'd love to know what you think of today's episode, so drop us a review or give us a shout out on social media. And don't forget to let us know your magical moment of the week. Okay, love you. Bye.